So today I'm going to be sending a space plane to the moon in Kerbal Space Program. Now I've constructed this rocket here, and I know the fairing on it looks really weird, and that's just because it has really big wings, so it can glide back to Kerbin. So yeah, I kind of had to design it like that. As you can see, I've got lots of visual mods to make it look better. And now we can detach those two SRBs. Um, and keep going with our core stage. Now, this core stage basically got us out of the atmosphere, and it also got us on almost to an orbit, actually. As you can see, we're still in the atmosphere a little bit, but it's fine for that Rhino engine. Now I just warped up to my apoapsis, and just like that, we are in a stable orbit. So now I'm just planning a maneuver node, and as you can see, I got a pretty nice encounter. Didn't have to play around with it too much. Now we can detach the fairings, and I can show you all the space plane. So the space plane itself is pretty simple. As you can see, they get a marvelous view of their home planet Kerbin. What a beautiful view with those visual mods. Um, I also installed this mod which lets you go in first person, so that you can see they've got all the supplies they need for the long trip ahead. Well, it's not really that long. It's like a one-day trip to It's a one-day trip to the Mun. In real life, it would be like 3-4 days. But you know, the Mun isn't the moon. I just called it the moon in the title, so it appeals to a larger audience who don't play KSP. But now I've got my encounter. I overshot it a bit, so now I'm actually on a collision course with the Mun. But I could just do a slight retrograde burn to bring that back. Now making a maneuver node to circularize myself at the Mun. And about a day later, here we are at the Mun. You can see we're on the dark side, unfortunately, so it's kind of hard to see stuff, but you can still kind of see. Now, as you can see, it's pretty easy to get captured at the Mun, especially when you're just coming from Kerbin. So now we got a low orbit. Now let me say this descent wasn't the first attempt at descending. I did crash a few times, okay? But now we can just descend with that second stage. And the Kerbals can get a lovely view of the Mun slowly approaching them. I guess they're approaching the Mun, whichever way you want to put it. Now we can detach that second stage. Now it's killed off most of our speed, and we can fire up that Terrier engine. Now the Terrier engine on this craft has terrible thrust to weight ratio. Oh, there goes the engine. It exploded. And the fuel tank just comes back up, just bounces up. Now, I was really concerned it was actually going to hit us. But it was very close, actually. It was very close. I was like, oh, please don't hit us. Please, please. This took so long, please. And it didn't. So, yeah, it actually landed right beside us. Oh, there you go. There's the explosion. And now we can just come to a stop and get Jebediah out so he can plant the flag. Now, I time warped a few days. I time warped through a few days just to see if I could get Kerbin to come up over the horizon. But unfortunately, it just wasn't working. And I was just like, you know what, screw it. So you can see me trying to time warp here to get Kerbin, over the horizon. I guess I just landed in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So yeah, that kind of sucked. But hey, I still got this shot of Jebediah planting the flag. As you can see, what a beautiful shot. And I did a bit more time warping. I think just during the day to make it a bit more brighter, so you guys can see better, and I could see better as well. So now we can get Bill Kerman out. He's the engineer. He can perform a good inspection on the craft, make sure it is ready for the long journey back to Kerbin. Well, it's not that long again, just probably a couple days, but yeah. Anyway, and he says everything looks alright, which is awesome. So now he can hop back into the cockpit, and we can begin our takeoff. Now, I forgot to add RCS thrusters, stupidly, and obviously control surfaces don't work in a vacuum. So I had to purely use the gimbal of the engine to pitch up, and we're pitched up, barely. That hill really helped us. I don't know if we'd be able to do that without the hill. Oh, almost hit the ground there. But we retracted the landing gears. Look at this beautiful crater. It's just amazing. Look at the view the Kerbals get to. Anyway, but now we're just descending to an orbit. Now, we will be in a very, very low moon orbit. But it's not like the moon has an atmosphere or anything, so it shouldn't matter. Now I know I'm calling it a mix of the Mun and the Moon in this video. I should probably just settle on one, but hey, I don't care. Now I'm planning a maneuver node to escape the Mun's sphere of influence and get back to Kerbin. You can see it coming over the horizon there. What a beautiful, beautiful shot. But now here we are a few days later at Kerbin, and now I set my apoapsis so it's just going to be in the atmosphere. Sorry, periapsis, so it's just in the atmosphere, because I didn't think I'd just be able to do one re-entry, and oh, gotta retract those solar panels quickly. Nope, this is 100% reusable. We can't have anything damaged. Um, so I did a couple aero brakes. So I was very high up in the atmosphere. I set my periapsis really high up in the atmosphere because I was very concerned about overheating, and I think this is meant to be a plane, not a space plane. So I don't think the parts are very. Actually, they are kind of heat resistant, to be honest. It's just better to do aero brakes, and I assume that's what we do in real life. You know, if we set a space. Actually, no, we probably wouldn't, because in real life we'd put heat tiles on it or something like that. Anyway, that here's the second aero brake, and as you can see, my apoapsis is rapidly descending. So, I was actually like, you know what? I didn't overheat. I can bring my periapsis even lower. So there goes my periapsis, just a little bit lower, just a very tiny burn. I don't have much liquid fuel left, as you can see in the right. Not the right, the left, the bottom left. You can see yeah, the fuel. But here's the final re-entry. This is at 4 times speed, by the way. I used a physics time warp because the re-entry was taking a while. Now, I was very concerned about overheating. You can see the overheating bar there. Once that completely fills up, the piece basically explodes. So, luckily, we didn't overheat, and as you can see, we are rapidly descending below the clouds to the ground. Now, it did a bit of a dance on the way down. It must be very happy to be home. But now, yeah, after a very wonky descent, like I did test this, and it can land on the Kerbal Space Center runway just fine, but I didn't test it coming back through the atmosphere, so I probably should have done that. I deployed the parachutes because I couldn't pitch up, and I was like, oh no, this is not how it's supposed to work. And then, oh, and we landed. Obviously, it was because Jebediah was flying it. Now, I didn't intend to do that. I intended to redo it, but I thought that was so funny. So, yeah, I kept it. And we did the mission on the first try.